Welcome back, everybody, to 3 Point Lines here on the Parlay. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, alongside my co host, Noor Zainab. We hope you enjoyed our fresh new intro to the show. Pretty cool intro to segue us into this 7 game night of the NBA or 8 game night in the NBA on this Wednesday. We got a lot of games to get to as I'm looking to personally bounce back from a very mediocre Tuesday night with my picks. I was 2-6 and my percentage actually went down. So I'm quite upset about that. I was at 54%. Now I'm at 53% as Noor beat me last night, I believe.
I did. You know what sucks about the percentage? If you do well, you don't really go up. But if you do bad, you go down. So I got 4 out of 6 last night, but I stayed the same at 51%. So this is just how the ball rolls, I guess. But yeah, Luca, for the first time ever, I beat you. Let's see if that continues tonight.
I don't know if it's the first time ever, but yeah, you definitely knew your
Seems like
stuff
it.
last night as a lot of the spreads did not go in my favor. Let's see if tonight is a different slate in terms of my luck as we're going to begin with an interesting game. We got the Hornets taking on the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers, they have not looked like themselves lately, and that's because they have a ton of players who are injured. But despite the injuries, the odds makers still have the Cavaliers as 4 point favorites in this spot.
Yeah, you mentioned it, right? Garland's been out for a couple of games now, but he did participate in today's shoot around this morning, and he's officially listed as questionable for this game tonight. So it could be a great sign for this Cavs team, who still won't have Rondo or Levert available going forward. Hornets might be a couple guys down in McDaniels and Book Night, but Richards has been upgraded to questionable as well. So you do see maybe a little bit of a healthier roster on both ends. Hornets last played on Monday, where they got killed by the Bucks, and Cavs lost to the Wolves the same day. But coming into this matchup, though, I would have preferred the tall Cavs anyway, but knowing they might have Garland back, I think it would be the nail in the coffin tonight. Not only would he provide offensive help, but he can space out the floor while delegating the ball and running the show as a true PG. And he's averaging 20 points on the season with 8 assists, so you know his impact will be huge for this team. I'm going to go with the Cavs today. How about you?
Yeah, I'm hoping Garland can play. He is questionable. We won't know for sure closer to tip off. So it's kind of tough to make a pick because if he doesn't play, I actually don't like the Cavaliers. But assuming he does give this one a go, that's going to help this Cavaliers team that has been struggling offensively. And right now they're 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games overall. But as much as I want to take the Hornets here, they're 2-9 against the spread in their last 11. This has not been a good team to bet on whatsoever. So if Garland can go, I think he's going to inject some much needed life into this Cavaliers offense. And even if he doesn't go, the Cavaliers do have a lot of size inside. And who's going to stop that size inside? They're not going to have too many answers. Obviously, they got Harrell at the deadline. He's been big for them, but I think this is a game where Mobley can look like a rookie of the year um, candidate or front runner leader, if you will, along with Jared Allen as well. So I agree with you, Nora, to begin the show. I like Cleveland -4.
All right, you heard it here first. We've got another game tonight with the Pacers taking on the Magic, where it's a money line score since the Pacers are favored by -1. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, another, as I like to, well, you coined this term, basement dwelling game. This is another one of those games, as you never know what could happen. Honestly, flip a coin if it's around. That's probably going to be better than whatever we tell you. But for this one, I will be going with the Pacers. The Magic. The Pacers are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 road games and 3-8 against the spread in their last 11 games overall. So that is why I'm siding with the Magic here. And I'm not confident with the Magic whatsoever. This is one of those picks where I'm picking the team who I just think is going to show up in this spot. I mean, they haven't been good, especially at home. But you look at the Pacers, they're not playing good at all. I mean, they've lost 10 of their last 13 overall, and they've lost their road games by an average of 5.7 points, and their last 2 games have been awful to watch. So I'm actually going to go with the Magic, who come into this game on a bit of a win streak too. So yeah, give me the Magic. I'll lay or I'll take the bucket with them as the Pacers are actually the slight favorites here. So yeah, give me Orlando. Let's see if they could get it done.
All right, let's find out who's right tomorrow because I'm actually going to ride with the Pacers here. But before that, this is like the sixth time these two have been meeting this year. This is like you get this team constantly. It's like every night is another Pacers and Magic game happening. But despite getting killed in the last one, Indiana is still favored by 1 point here. Pacers have Duarte and Lance Stevenson listed as questionable, while Hornets have Wagner ruled out and Cole Anthony probable. None of that really means anything in this matchup, as you mentioned. In between the wins and losses, Pacers are the better team, even if it's like you're comparing different shades of white in this kind of scenario. And I want to chalk up their loss on Monday to the Hornets to the exhausting win they got over Boston the night before. And I think that's kind of where all the eyes were going to be that weekend anyway. And they kind of pick and chose the which team they were going to really go out against. And I think just because of that, they bounced back from the L on Monday after having rest on their side. And hopefully, just because of that, they can beat this Magic team and get back for their last L.
Okay, sticking with the theme of teams seeing each other again in a short period of
Mhm.
time. The next game here, we got the Knicks taking on the Sixers. The Knicks were embarrassed last time. Oh, they look like a team that's tanking right now. They're taking on the Philadelphia 76ers that I'm not going to lie to you, Nor, as a Raptors fan, I'm actually pretty excited to see the duo of Joel Embiid and James
Yep.
Harden. It's like this team has been must-see TV. I know they're a rival, but anytime you get to see the Sixers in action nowadays with that duo clicking the way that they're playing, you got to stop what you're doing. You got to tune in. So is this going to be another spectacle from that too of Embiid and Harden? And will Philadelphia cover this big spread, which is 10.5?
Daryl Morey knew what he was doing. Not only are they a fun team on the court, but look at them off the court. Like, what kind of locker room is that? Jokes, memes, like trolling flying around all the time, probably. And in this matchup, Philly is a healthy team with literally no one on the injury report, whereas the Knicks have got Noel, Grimes, Simonic, and obviously Walker and Rose still as listed as out. Philly has won this contest on Sunday by 16 points. You already mentioned it, so the spread makes a lot of sense today. Embiid dropped 37 in that one, while Harden had 29 and Maxey came through with 21. And you kind of mentioned it, right? The duo of Embiid and Harden is already proving to be a force. And who would have thought that taking a dominating center and giving him a lethal three-pointer who would just make the best kind of spacing possible for each game. And this allows them to get the best shot. And if the other team wants to double both of them, it leaves three other guys wide open. And that's where you get Maxey, who comes up with 21 points. And I don't think it'll be any easier for the Knicks tonight, even with Barrett, Fournier, and quickly trying their hardest. And most importantly, they're going to have no answer for Embiid, just like the rest of the league. So I think this is a big spread tonight for sure. And Philly should win this regardless, but they should also win this by more than 11 points. How about you?
I think Wells Fargo Arena is going to be rocking tonight. This is going to be
Yeah.
James Harden's official a Sixer debut in Philadelphia. So everybody's going to be rocking there. They're finally going to get to see James Harden do his thing live up and close. And I know a lot of people are overreacting and saying this is the second coming of Shaq and Kobe. I wouldn't go that far just yet, but this is a duo that is looking like the best duo in the NBA. They complement each other so well. And B, just what he does inside, having him paired with such an explosive wing player, a guy like Harden who can get his own shot, who can hit the three, get to the foul line. I mean, they are becoming the Philadelphia 70 free throws with how many free throw attempts they are getting between those two. But this is a duo that's been as advertised. Daryl Morey knew exactly what he was doing. This is why he stayed patient. This is why he was rejecting every single offer because Philadelphia does look like a legitimate team in the East. They do look like a team that could make a run. I like them tonight. It is a big number, but you look at the Knicks. I'm just going to give you this stat, and it's going to be a summary of how their season has gone on lately. The Knicks have lost 15 of their last 18 games. This team stinks right now. They can't do anything right. I think they've packed it in. This team is not going to get anywhere near the plane, in my opinion. They're going to be a bottom feeder. They're going to be destined for the lottery. This is going to be an abysmal last 20 something games for the New York Knicks as Philadelphia is going to continue to flex their muscles in the spot. It's going to be another big game from that duo. So give me Philadelphia big at Wells Fargo Arena and another Sixers win.
All right. Speaking of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, you've got pretty much the game of the night tonight with Miami Heat taking on the Milwaukee Bucks, where the Bucks are favored by -4.5. Is this a preview for you?
Let's go Miami. I'm jumping on that Miami bandwagon for this game. This has been one of my favorite teams in the East to watch, aside from the Raptors, of course. I'm going with Miami. I'm getting points in this spot. I think that's going to be a good ticket for some success here. I mean, you look at Miami, they've been pedestrian on offense, but they're going to be meeting, in my opinion, an overvalued Bucks defense. This is a team that's given up a ton of points. We've seen that so many times. And Miami, they've been one of the best defenses in all of the NBA. I think they're going to do an amazing job on Giannis and company. Miami is 12-6 against the spread this season as an underdog. So it's rare to see them in an underdog spot. And with the way they've been
Mhm.
playing, anytime you can get them as an underdog, you have to take them, right? They're also 12-5 against the spread against teams with a winning percentage of 59% or better. And the Bucks are exactly at 59%. And the one thing is going to be Kyle Lowry. He's not going to be playing in this game, and the Heat are just 7-6-1 against the spread. But even without Lowry, we have seen it so many times. The Heat next man up mentality. They can get it done. They're going to be motivated for this one. People still talk about how they got embarrassed in round one against the Bucks. This is Miami's opportunity to come through in another statement type performance. They have one already this week to their name when they smoked the Bulls. They can do it again by beating a Bucks team that is still many people's favorites to come out of the East. So I like Miami in the spot.
I know. I was also surprised. I was like, how do you have Miami listed as the underdogs here when they just beat Debo and handed him the worst L without Kyle Lowry present? And you mentioned it. There's no Kyle Lowry for this one, no Markieff Morris either, but that should be no problem for the Heat, who did give Debo a pretty bad L without Kyle Lowry available in that matchup either. And this is a very deep team with lots of depth and a great coach who knows exactly when and how to adjust. And Bucks are one of the scariest teams. Like I still, you know, don't I can't count them out. I still think that they are going to make a push whenever they do. And this is a situation where I think that they still every now and then do keep their foot off the gas pedal. But in this situation right here, I think that Miami will take advantage if their foot is off the gas pedal because Miami is that team that will go out and win. And this has pretty much been the narrative for the Bucks all January since until now. I want to say where they do come out and they get those wins, but then they also have those disappointing losses where you're like, how is this the same team that's just won the championship last year? But I think he will use this opportunity to make a statement game tonight, and it should be pretty close. And it honestly, I still think it could go either way, just because you are still missing Kyle Lowry on that team. And you mentioned it; they do have a next man up mentality, but Kyle Lowry is Kyle Lowry, and he is the IQ that you need in terms of having to go up against teams like the Bucks and Giannis and Budenholzer and everybody like that. But in this scenario right now, I think you got to ride with the Heat. The Heat have been on fire, and how they handed the Bulls that loss without Lowry says a lot, I think. So they should be pretty poised to at least make it a game here tonight.
It's a big week for Miami. They have the Bulls, they have the Bucks tonight, and then they have the Sixers on Saturday. So all teams that could very well make a run in this very deep Eastern Conference. Okay, next game we got the Kings taking on the Pelicans. The Pelicans open up as 6-point favorites.
Since the All Star break, the Pelicans have won both of their games, and one came against the Suns while the other came against the Lakers, where they handed Lakers a very big blowout loss. And McCollum and JV have been a fun pairing where JV can dominate the floor and McCollum can pretty much just ride the perimeter and he creates spacing and opportunities that way, which is very much like a James Harden and Embiid duo happening, but just obviously of less MVP kind of caliber at this point. They have covered the spread in the last five of their 7 games, and they have come against losing teams too. Whereas the Kings are definitely making some noise here and there, or they're trying to. But this is the one where I think the trade should come through for the Pelicans and show how important it really was to bring McCollum into this lineup next to JV. So I'm gonna go with the Pelicans. What about you?
I agree. I am not intimidated by this -6-point spread. The Pelicans are 6-4 in their last 10, and they've been one of the top teams on both ends of the floor in their last 10 games. They're actually fifth in offensive rating and eighth in net rating. And you mentioned the pairing of JV and McCollum. How about CJ McCollum? He is finding new life with this Pelicans team. Pelicans look pretty good. They look like a team that, if they can get into the play-in, they could maybe make some noise. This is a team that's gelling at the right time, whereas the Kings just 2-3 against the spread in the last 5 games, and they're 1-4 straight up over the last 5. I feel like Sacramento's never going to be good again. Like, this is a team that hasn't made the playoffs since when? 2003, I think it was. Like, this is a team that they make the trade for Sabonis. They look decent out of the gate, and now they're just falling back to their old ways. So yeah, I think it's going to be a rough spot for Sacramento. And the worst part about the Kings is they struggle against their own conference. They struggle against Western Conference teams. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Pelicans. They have looked really good at coming out of the All-Star break, and I think they're going to get another win.
If this is the time to make a push in the Western Conference, you got to do it now. This is the most parity there's ever been, especially in that conference where you have, the Lakers and Warriors just riddling out everybody. But let's stick to the same league. We've got the Utah Jazz taking on the Rockets tonight. Big spread here where the Jazz are favored by -14. Where are you going to go with this one, Luca? I'm interested to see.
Before I give you that, I want to correct myself. 2006, last time the Kings made the playoffs, so I don't want to be too harsh on them. Still a very long time.
Sorry, I'll
As
keep
far
it
as this
reasoned.
game, I'm gonna go with the Jazz. It's a big number. It's 2 touchdowns, -14. The Jazz have been on a roll lately. They've won 8 of their last 9 games, and they have turned things around with Donovan Mitchell. And as much as the Rockets can show up in these spots, I think they're a team that has completely packed it in. They have lost 10 straight games, and they're 0-9 in the second game of a back-to-back. This was actually the reason why I ended up taking this Jazz pick. So they're 0-9 in the second night of a back-to-back, and they've been outscored in those scenarios by 16.9 points per game. So I think the Jazz, even though they're on the road, they will find a way to keep it rolling here against the Rockets. So I will lay that big number with Utah.
Yeah, I was kind of going back and forth a little bit just because we already know Jazz are going to win this. It's just are they going to win by 15 points? And you mentioned it. They're coming off wins over the Mavericks and the Suns while the Rockets have lost two in a row to the Clippers. And Jazz have the rest advantage here because of that too since their last game was on Sunday and the Clippers beat down for the Rockets happened literally last night. And Houston's also 0-9 in the second game of a back-to-back situation and they've been outscored by more than 17 points in each of those scenarios. And with Mitchell back, Utah has gained traction once again with 8 wins in their last 9 games, as you mentioned, and the Rockets have lost 10 straight entering into this one. So we know that Utah is gonna win this. They're gonna come out and they're gonna get the win, but it's just are they gonna win by more than 14? And to that question, their last matchup was on Valentine's Day and they beat the Rockets by 34 points. So I think it might be an easier beating tonight, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to fully beat them by 15 points. They've done it before. And because they've got the 3 days of rest on their side, plus Mitchell back, should be no problem. Give me the Jazz.
All right, next game we got the Thunder taking on the Nuggets. Another big spread here, 14.5 in favor of Denver.
It's so weird to see a big spread and having OKC as the underdog and you don't go with them. It's so strange because I actually had to sit there for a sec too and be like, am I sure? Am I going to go against the pattern here? And I am. OKC injury report is just not nice right now. You pretty much just have Shea out there. Robbie has been contributing in everyone else's absence, but tonight you're going to have to go up against the reigning MVP champion, which is Nikola Jokic. And how do you stop that when you have half your roster on the injury report? OKC are kings at covering the spread, but I'm having a hard time with this one. I know Nuggets will win. There's no way they won't, but will they also win this one by 15? And the fact that they haven't played since Sunday and they did beat the Blazers by 32, while OKC lost to the Suns by 20 points. I feel like we can go with the Nuggets here. I am a little bit skeptical about this because it is a big number and OKC is so good at coming back. But I think tonight will be a tough task with their injury report and going up against someone like Jokic. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you only because I
Oh,
think the
dang.
spread is way too big. And the Nuggets are 1-3 against the spread this season as double digit favorites, while the Thunder, they're actually really good in this spot. They're 13-6 against the spread as a double digit underdog. I know they haven't looked good lately, but I'm still gonna ride with the numbers here. And Denver, they've been playing really well. They're 8-2 over the last 10. You talk about a dark horse that can make a run. There was a report that came out that Murray and Porter Jr. are on their way back. So if this Nuggets team could get healthy right before the playoffs, I would not want to play them in a best of 7 playoff series. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Thunder on this one. I think this is good value taking them plus the points here, and I know their offense and defense has been very shaky, but I'm hoping with the presence of Shea, that's enough to spark some sort of offensive firepower that the Thunder can at least keep this game close. So yeah, give me OKC.
Honestly, I think if you win this one, I'm just gonna take your picks from now on. I was so focused on OKC too, but I was just like, really, the injury report? You've just got Shea out there against Jokic. But you're right, they really could still make it a game or at least cover that spread. But we've got the last game of the night in the Western Conference with the Blazers taking on the Suns with another big spread. The Suns are favored by minus 13 and a half. Are you gonna believe in them?
Yeah, this time I'm laying the points with Phoenix. They've lost 2 in a row. They're coming into this game in uncharted territory, but I really like that they're getting Cameron Payne back. I feel like having him out there is gonna allow, Booker to play more back into his off the ball role, and it's gonna increase his pace of play and his offensive production. And you look at the Suns, they still are a tie for the most home wins in the league with 26, while the Blazers, they have not been good since the All-Star break. They're 9 and 18 overall on the road. And speaking of not looking good post the All Star break, they've lost both those games by 30 points. So this is a Blazers team that's going the other way. There's just not enough talent out there. They're very shorthanded. They're obviously playing for next season and beyond. And the Suns just have so many advantages at almost every single position. So it's a big number. But give me the Suns to bounce back here at home, minus 13 and a half.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you here. I think the Blazers have had the toughest stretch lately in Warriors, Nuggets, and now the Suns. I feel really bad for them. And the last, like you mentioned, it they got blown out by more than 30 points in each. So this spread makes a lot of sense tonight. And Fernie Simons and Josh Hart came back down to earth in the last two games, and a lot of that has to do with their injury report too. Nurkic, losing him has been a big blow, and Joe Ingles already out does not help. And now you're going to have Eric Bledsoe and Winslow, who won't be suiting up for tonight's game. That's a lot to ask from a team who's going through a retooling period and missing a bunch of guys against the best team in the NBA. And the Suns did lose to the Pelicans and Thunder, like you mentioned, in the last two games, and they only won against the Rockets and Clippers by less than 10 points. But I think this game will be more about the Blazers missing the guys than Suns actually winning this one. So I think that's why it should be a blowout tonight, just as the past two games have been for the Blazers.
All right, we'll see what happens there. We have some similarities, some differences, but all in all, that's going to wrap up an 8 game slate of games in the NBA as Nora and I give you our picks against the spread. We'll see how we do, and we see if we can increase that winning percentage. But let us know who you like tonight in these games. Always exciting stuff to see what the public takes. Are they going to go with the big spreads? Are they going to take the underdog? We'll see what happens. But that is going to conclude another great edition of 3 Point Lines here on the Parlay. You can find this wherever you get your favorite podcast. We stream live on Twitter and YouTube. You can follow us all over social media. And Nora and I will be back tomorrow on the same very show. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll catch you all again tomorrow.